Hello everyone, welcome to the market outlook for the week. Gaurang Shah here from Geojit Investments Limited, and as I speak to all of you all this Monday morning at 5 past 10:30, markets are holding out. It's gained very smartly since the beginning of the trade this morning. Couple of factors that have played a vital role, of course, has triggered this kind of an up move. Though there was no outcome from that summit in Alaska between Russian President Mr. Putin and, of course, American President Mr. Trump. But there is some signs of peace that would be visible in coming days. Is going to be very, very important. But before I go any further, almost about 340 points plus on the Nifty and about 1000 plus points on the Sensex, largely led by last week's triggers that have enabled this kind of move. Firstly, an upgrade from S&P, which could possibly give some breather to the FI selling. This is anticipated that the large sell side numbers that FIs were continuously maintaining as far as Indian equity market and outflows are concerned could come to a pause on fallback of this upgrade as far as the S&P rating is concerned. Second important trigger was on the Independence Day, 15th of August, Friday, when the Honorable Prime Minister announced from Red Fort that there's going to be a new version of GST structure, GST 2.0, with reduced slabs and benefits to the consumers at ground level, which has definitely excited a lot of sectors this morning. For example, consumption related themes, discretionary, non-discretionary, especially autos, focused on two-wheelers and entry levels, four-wheeler cars, is showing tremendous amount of traction. And of course, certain consumption related themes on fallback of the revamp in GST structure 2.0. Though some sectors where the GST rate is likely to be higher, the sin sector as it is called, for example, cigarette, tobacco, alcohol related high spirit beverages, as it is called, alcobev as it is called, is facing some kind of headwind because of this possibility of a higher tax bracket for this goods, sin goods. The meet in Alaska between President Putin and President Trump ended in no show. Large part of the media and social media is talking about Mr. Putin coming out as a clear winner, but that does not mean Mr. Trump has lost. So it's status quo over there, with now the latest statement from President Trump that it is up to President Zelensky of Ukraine to end the war. So we'll have to wait and watch. Of course, he and some European leaders are likely to meet President Trump today, tomorrow, and the outcome will be known once that meeting is done and dusted. Meanwhile, the positivity on the market, it's very prudent to note, friends, that this morning's gain needs to be sustained. If we are not able to sustain and if we are not able to maintain these higher levels, I'm not saying that you have to close at high, but if we don't succumb under selling pressure, and if we are able to keep our head, though we've crossed over 25,000 this morning, but currently as I speak to you, we are trading a little bit lower than that level. So either today, tomorrow, or day after, on domestic news flows, on government policy decisions, and on international news flows, if we are able to maintain ourselves about 25,000, 25,050, 75, I think the higher level then opens up. Until that time, I think the trajectory that we will be now in is possibly 24,500 to 24,600 on the lower side. 25,000, 24,000 to 25,800 on the 24,800 to 25,000 on the Nifty spot on the higher side. And like I mentioned, the view is that if we are able to take off 25,050 or 25,075 on a closing basis, then I think the next leap could be towards 25,200 and 25,300. It will be wait and watch, because today's gap up has actually not given any chance for traders, especially from a short to medium term, to make any kind of position. So need to be careful and cautious and watch out for these kind of levels. India VIX at 12.74 with an uptick of 3.07%, and the rupee dollar equation at 87.37 with 0.18 paise strength in the rupee against the dollar, which is of course, expected to continue and see a little bit of strength in the rupee as we go into the week. On the crude oil front, $65.86 to a barrel is Brent, $62.88 to a barrel is NYMEX. Expect sub $60 on NYMEX and closer to $62 or $63 on Brent as we go into the week on fallback of supply and demand scenario. Festive season, friends, is likely to pick up starting with next week, Ganesh Chaturthi, and of course, then we'll have other festive seasons, which is likely to give boost to the consumption at ground level. And of course, on fallback of various changes that the finance minister made in the budget, and on fallback of good monsoon, semi-urban rural India is likely to have a very significant contribution in terms of top line volume sales growth. Important to see, like I mentioned, what is going to be the outcome of Jackson Hole meet as far as Mr. Powell is concerned. Later this week, we have the Jackson Hole meet where the decision, most likely according to our estimate, friends, it is going to be a pause again because there are a lot of uncertain and a lot of pieces of puzzle as far as US economy is concerned is still flying in the air. So we need to be extremely careful and cautious as far as the outcome is concerned. But more or less, it's going to be a status quo. Rate cuts, if any, would come in possibly next month or the month after that once there is enough clarity in terms of US tariff and its impact on the US economy and consumption related issues at a ground level. So overall, friend, while we are trading positively, need to be a little bit cautious in terms of sustaining at higher levels. Our sense is that if the FI sell side number goes down, then that sustainability will be much more clear and headroom in terms of upside will be much clear. We have always maintained a positive stance as far as the Indian economy and Indian stock market is concerned. There may be some short to medium term trouble or news flows which might be an overhang on the markets or the economy. But and of course, uncertainty still remains, friends, as far as that 25th of August US delegation coming down to India for discussion, and of course, clarity needs to be there in terms of that additional 25% tariff on 27th. Source based information, nothing confirmed. There's nothing that has come from the Trump administration on these two fronts, but wait and watch will be a scenario as we go into the trade for this week. So I was mentioning about being positive in the market and creating portfolios. Every time we interact, I give you two investment ideas. Both these investment ideas are based on the domestic theme. First one is a consumption related discretionary name, white good appliances manufacturing company called Bluestar. Though this year's summer was not very exciting for consumer durable white good appliances manufacturing company like air conditioners or coolers, but we expect this demand to come through as we go into the future. So valuation wise looks attractive. There is traction in terms of positivity in terms of ground level consumption and demand going up. So Bluestar is the first investment idea from a long term point of view. Before I go to the next idea, a small disclosure: all investment ideas are a recommendation from our fundamental research team. Our company Geojit or we do not have any personal investment in these recommendations that are given by, nor do we get any kind of nor do we have any kind of financial interest, and nor there is any kind of conflict of interest. But we give similar recommendations to our clients. They might have their investment interest over there. The second one is from the EMS segment, relatively an EMS segment, and a possibility of opening up its new production facility in the state of Gujarat as far as chips semiconductors are concerned. And the name of the company is CG Power and Industrial. This is a small to mid cap kind of a company. Tremendous amount of push from the government as far as the PLI incentive scheme is concerned for this sector. A little bit of scare was there last week because of the efforts made by the Indian and Chinese government to come at a common platform and to counter US tariff related news flows. There was a little bit of fear in the Indian markets that if China is going to come into India and if government is going to allow Chinese companies to operate in semiconductor chip, EMS or PCBs, then it will be negative counterproductive for Indian companies. But rest assured, the government has got its plan very clear. So we remain extremely positive on these two companies. Mind you, these are long-term investment ideas. These are not from short-term to medium-term or BTST. start at current levels in both these names, that is Bluestar and CG Industry Power. And on dips, you can add on to it. Thank you very much for your patience hearing. I'll again see you again next week on Monday. Till then, take care of your health. Bye bye.